really glad to be here. The first time I ever read poetry was sometime in the spring of '98, and I mean the first time I ever went to a reading just to watch was on a Friday night when there was an El Nino at the midnight special, and you still had 30 or 40 people sitting in the back area, and I guess that said something about you know, the popularity of the reading, and if it weren't for midnight special, I wouldn't have met Pete or T.J. Sullivan or Jack Schaefer or a lot of the people that you know, I've known and respected over the years. So anyway, first poem I'm going to do is I believe it's a Bukowski book, so let me just okay, I'll do the title piece from the called Never Met Bukowski. I never met Charles Bukowski. I didn't even know who he was until I saw Barfly in 1987 when Mickey Rourke played the fictional Bukowski with a voice blending Marlon Brando with the cartoon character Snagglepuss. In 1993, I went to a rare bookstore just off Hollywood Boulevard, and I knocked on the door. A grizzled old man answered, barking out, "We're closed today." And it was a while later when I found out that the grumpy old man was someone who knew Bukowski. Sometime around 1999, I read one of Bukowski's poems on stage at the now long dead Poetic License reading at the Moondog Cafe on Melrose. The pretty girl who was a waitress there paid attention to me for the first time. I told her it wasn't one of my poems, but one of Bukowski's. It was the last time she paid attention to me. During the same period, I met Francis Dean Smith, a.k.a. Franci, who, with Bukowski, created their Dora Marina. And there's a lot of things I could tell you about Franci, but this is the most important, is that I liked her for who she was and did not annoy her with questions about what kind of man Bukowski was. Bukowski, never shy about displaying honesty, often railed about bad poetry and bad poets. And if I had met Bukowski and showed him one of my poems, he likely would have grabbed me, ripped me in two, and sucked the marrow out of me. At a diner, eating crab legs at a seafood restaurant. Afterwards, he would have called me a bad poet and said that anyone telling me otherwise was blowing smoke inside me. Maybe, after all, it's a good thing I never met Charles Bukowski. And here's a piece I was looking for earlier, and it's called Impossible Dreams. I want to write the first self-published chapbook that sells 1 million copies. I want to be the first poet to sell out arenas not once, not twice, but 5 nights in a row, and perform 3.5-hour sets just like Springsteen did in the 70s and 80s. I want to invite my brothers and sisters in poetry to help me create an annual festival called Wordstock. It will consist of 3 days of peace, love, and metaphors. I want it to be so big and important that people will smash through the fences to witness incredible poetry for free, but not until we turn to profit. I want to see an hour of verse on primetime TV every night of the week. Think about it, NBC. It'll be cheaper to produce than last year's 10 o'clock Jay Leno show. I want to kickstart a new kind of future. I want to teach the majority of humankind that poetry does not suck. I want to think about this to-do list some other time. It's getting really cold here in the break room, and it's time to go back to work. So, let's see, actually, if I didn't hear, I actually have one brand new piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. It's called What Henry Fonda Said. The I know just what he meant moment came as a result of reading that paperback book of Larry King interview transcripts. Henry Fonda was on Larry's show, and I think it was the one on the radio. And Henry said something about how children are wonderful actors, where they play games such as cops and robbers until the age of 8 or 9, when they start to become self-conscious each time they fall down. For me, this epiphany did not occur until I entered the 7th grade, and in my town, junior high, thankfully, was only 2 years. And then I was made to realize that other children older than me existed. And each time I fell down, I became extremely self-conscious because the audience watching and sometimes laughing was bigger than it used to be when I played superheroes or cops and robbers or international spies, and no one cared at all. And let's see, let me find the show business one somewhere in there, and okay. Actually, this one's pretty good, and it's based on a true incident when I worked on like a AFI project with Dean Cain, just less than half a decade before Lois and Clark came along, and this was kind of like a party that a couple of crew members on the project threw. So this is called Hollywood Party Number 1. "Why are you here?" asked the sleek young actor. I said that I was invited by the host, the cinematographer, and his wife, the camera assistant. I knew him from a student film that 3 of us worked on a few months earlier. I was the go-for production assistant. The sleek young actor looked at me with a mixture of boredom and fake interest. And then, without the aid of computer-generated special effects, I became invisible. The sleek young actor, the gorgeous stand-up comic who by day was a parole officer, the screenwriter who resolved to give the industry whatever it wanted until he became rich and powerful enough to ensure that his dream project, the life story of poet laureate Billy Collins, that would one day get a studio green light, they all began to talk amongst themselves. No further attention was paid to me. Any attempt I made to participate in the conversation was rebuffed. I didn't really mind being invisible. It was fun to hear the industry gossip that doesn't make it into the pages of Entertainment Weekly and the LA Times. It was good to hear about a new health club opening in West Hollywood. It was invigorating to discover there were 4 great restaurants with Nouvelle cuisine located within a 3-mile radius of my apartment. It was sobering to discover that I couldn't afford to eat at any of the restaurants I talked about. For another 30 minutes, I watched the room full of people talk indirectly about their desire for status and respect. It was just a matter of time before they all became stars. Finally, I decided to become visible again. I found my hosts, thanked them for their hospitality, and walked out of the house into a summer Sunday afternoon in Los Feliz. I walked to the Skylight bookstore and purchased a book by Billy Collins. Afterwards, I had dinner at the House of Pies. Once I finished dinner, I returned to my apartment. I read all of Billy Collins' book, and then I fell asleep. I dreamed of status and respect, fame and fortune, and my newfound resolve to never embarrass a party guest by asking him or her, "Why are you here?"
Don't talk.
Let's see, I just have 3 or 4 more things before I sit down. And here's an old poem called Stress-Free America, but I updated it last year to, make it a little bit more topical and au courant. Stress-Free America 2010. I want to be a contestant on Meredith's version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I want to log on to iWan.com every single day. I want to enter every lottery, Powerball contest, and big spin in every state of the union. I want to buy a ticket to Stress-Free America. I'm tired of being ordinary. I want a mansion that will make the residences of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs look like shotgun shacks. I want a small army of servants who will work for minimum wage. I want security details available 24/7 to banish unwanted and or inconvenient people from my life. I want to date beautiful women, a lot of them, and all of them under the age of 30. I want all the women in my life to look like Megan Fox, Amanda Seyfried, Zoe Saldana, Anne Hathaway, and both the blonde cheerleaders in Glee. I want my women to be unfailingly cheerful, adoring, and easily impressed by garish, extravagant displays of wealth. Most important, I want them to agree with everything I say. I want the best medical care in the world. I want plastic surgery to render me forever youthful and thin. I want to live past the age of 120 and have people tell me I look no older than 85. I want to be above it all. I don't want to worry about heaven, hell, or theological matters. I don't want my life affected by crime, poverty, disease, oil spills, and whoever is elected or appointed president. I want to live where the sky is blue and the hills are green. I want to be surrounded by duck ponds and country clubs. I want designer air, water, clothes, and the finest gourmet food. And I want my paradise to be totally surrounded by a 100-foot-high fence topped with razor wire. And I have a feeling, as I read this, that some of you don't believe me. But I know there is such a thing as Stress-Free America. Last week, I was watching Oprah when I heard one of her guests say that it actually exists. And I know for a fact that if it wasn't true, it wouldn't be on Oprah. So tomorrow, I am going to wake up, pack my bags, go to the nearest Amtrak station, buy a ticket, and board a silver-plated luxury train before the recession gets worse and the cost of living rises for everyone. I really, really want to buy a ticket to Stress-Free America. I don't want to be ordinary anymore. So, I'll do about 3 more. Well, going back to 1997, 98, this is like one of the first poems I ever wrote, and this one's called The Job Interview. Didn't do any research on the company. Didn't read any books or visit any websites on how to prepare for a successful interview. Didn't know how to answer most of the interviewer's questions. Didn't know what questions to ask the interviewer about the job I was applying for. Didn't want the job anyway. After the interview ends, I leave the office building and stand still on the sidewalk as people hurry past me. I returned to my apartment, changed into my regular clothes, and called my parents to tell them that the job interview went well, and I should be hearing from the company any day now. And they wrote this a few weeks after I joined Facebook, and it's called Sending Up Flares. Stand in the middle of the Facebook town square and hold up signs that say, "Do you remember me from 20 years ago? Do you want to friend me? Do you want me to friend you? What have you done since we last saw each other? How have you changed? How have you stayed the same?" Join virtual hands with most of the people who co-starred in your school years and or former jobs. Re-encounter the soulmates left behind, the classmates you barely knew. Play with the abundant apps that ask, what kind of literary character are you? And then list your 5 favorite albums and think of brief and witty statements that can be recycled as Twittertainment. And be thankful you're not as alone as you once thought you were. And this will be the last piece. And I thank you so much, Brenda, in terms of having me here tonight. And thank you all for coming out. And I'm really happy to still be here to some degree after doing this for like 13 years worth. And anyway, all of this was, I guess, because I happened to be in a record store on the Balboa Peninsula and saw a magazine that no longer exists called Next, and it had a calendar in the middle with listing all the readings going on LA, Orange County, and that's how I first found Midnight Special, and the rest evolved from there. So this is the last poem that's called The Artistic Life. Whether it's feast or famine or bull or bear, the world is not fair. You do your best and try your hardest, but some people will never place their toenails on your records. Some people only want to give you nothing but flattery, and they live at the end of one-way streets. We'd like to see you perform, they say, and then they don't come. Can I appear at your venue, you ask, and they won't answer. Nonetheless, you should stay on the path. Write your poems, stories, and songs. Burn CDs. Submit to webzines and magazines and anthologies, and upload your MP3 files. Give the world the best of what you have inside. If you know who you are, don't worry about who you aren't. And if you have at least one true friend as a result of all this, then the artistic life has been one worth living. Thank you.